Members of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts are on an oversight visit to some of the train stations in Cape Town. They want to get first-hand information on what causes train delays, cancellations, and the fact that thousands of commuters arrive late at work. They also want to look at the existing infrastructure and what's needed to improve services. Our reporter Lulama Matya is on the story. We cross to her live for more. Lulama, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us what's happening where you are.
Good morning, Simpiwa. We are at the Salt River depot. It's the first station when you're coming out from Cape Town, going to the Central Line. Members of SCOPA, led by Chairperson Kuleko Hlengwa, are here. I'll ask cameraman Lucky to zoom out at them. They are inspecting what is currently the infrastructure that is available here at the Salt River Depot station. They got a briefing from the Prasa executive this morning about the current situation here. They are saying that we know that as Simpiwe, during the COVID period, the central line between Langa Township was affected. There are some shacks that were built there. It's about more than 1,000 shacks that have been structures that are there. From here, Simpiwe, we're going to go there at Langa to also, for the members of SCOPA, to also see what is happening there. And Prasa is saying that this week it was a very difficult week for them. Besides the trains running late due to cable theft and vandalism, load shedding also affected their trains. They are saying that there was a substation, ESCOM substation, that was vandalized and affected, and it impacted on the running of trains here in the Cape Metro, especially the Central Line going to the townships. We know that the majority of township residents, they use a train, which is a very cheaper mode of transport from traveling between to and from work. So they are saying that commuters, they are saying that they are deeply affected. They would want trains to return to normality, as we know that lockdown regulations are expected to be lifted soon and things going back to normal post-COVID period. Simpiwe.
Lulama, remember that early this year, Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula says about 60 million rand was spent to restore some of the train stations in the Western Cape. I mean, just looking at the figure, is it a reflection of what you see on the ground, especially in some of the train stations?
Well, Simpiwe, if you're looking around some of the train stations here in Cape Town, there is some work currently going on. One of the stations that is being refurbished is Goodwood train station in Fort Trega. That train station is being refurbished. But here at Salt River, where we are at the depot now, there is no work that is currently going on. If you look around, you see there's dust covering these big machines that are here, which I don't know whether maybe there's train engines or what, but they are body parts of a train. There's dust covering them, which means that there's nothing that has been happening here. But I guess Simpiwe will know better and more about that once we get a briefing from the executive of Prasa as to what exactly their needs are in this station, and if that part of money has been, they have been allocated part of that money to build infrastructure or to get more trains working, because sometimes it's not only about infrastructure, it's also about capacity and also security, because what we hear from them this morning is that there are challenges with security. As a result, in February this year, they had about more than 30 incidents of theft or vandalism of their properties, and they said that they have rearranged their strategy and it seems now to be bearing some fruits.
And speaking of security, Lulama, remember that Minister Mbalula also blamed this mismanagement at Prasa, which has brought this mess, wherein people were allowed to encroach and without any security. Well, he seems to be passing the buck onto Prasa. What seems to be the problem? Is it a matter of vandalism or the mismanagement at Prasa, as Fikile Mbalula has stated? Or is it a matter of both?
Well, Simpiwa, when I was speaking to SCOPA members this morning, for instance, Prasa had last had a permanent CEO a couple of months ago. That CEO, which is Lulama Matya, was there only for 9 months and he was fired. Before that, the previous CEO, Mr. Lucky Montana, was there until 2015. So for a long period of years, Simpiwe, Prasa has been without a permanent CEO. And then Mr. Lulama Matya came in, who lasted only for 9 months. Now the person in charge is acting. So there's also those concerns from committee members that yes, management partly is to blame for this current situation that Prasa is in, because even this morning when the delegation, the provincial delegation was introduced, there were also some of the people who are acting as a result. SCOPA chairperson Kuleko Hlengwa was concerned and saying that how long has this person been acting? Because it's these acting positions, Simpiwa, that cause instability, leading to mismanagement and leading to Prasa incurring billions of rands in irregular and fruitless expenditure. Because if you're looking at the books of Prasa, in the year 2019-2020 financial year, their irregular expenditure was more than 20 billion rand. In fact, it was about 26 billion rand in irregular expenditure. So SCOPA chairperson is as well, I guess, agrees with the minister that the mismanagement is caused by lack of stability in leadership position in this institution. As I said, there is no permanent CEO now. The previous one lasted for 9 months. Since 2015, there was no, the period of 2015 until 9 months ago, there was no permanent CEO at Prasa.
All right, Lulama, thank you so much for joining us. We're still yet to hear from Prasa what their response is to this mess, and we're still yet to hear what SCOPA has found as a result of their oversight visit to some of the train stations there. Thank you so much for joining us, Lulama. Our reporter there, Lulama Matya, is, as a precursor to the oversight visit of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts visiting some of the train stations in Cape Town.